What is going on, everybody? It's Purple Haze here with another episode of Shades of Purple. I'm so excited to see everybody here. I see you, Mel. I see Cowboy, Simpleton. We got Rouster. We got the guest is in the chat too. Ambi, Jaden. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Rouster. So happy to see you all here today. Another amazing member of the community. This one, which we'll get into his gaming story, and I'll tell you there where I found him. But just a little update for me for all the members. Thank you so much. I try to put out some content for you all. Members only for the first like 48 to 72 hours. So there's 2 new videos. I'll probably be doing 2 more over the next week or so. So if you want to catch those videos and get my thoughts first and just interact and chat, just go ahead, become a member, but no pressure if you can't. All of my member content usually makes it to everybody else in the general public. But thank you all so much for everybody who came through. Also, we will be doing an Ask Me Anything here shortly because we met the super chat goal on my gaming live stream. So thank you all to who donated to that. That's Wit, Ambi, and Joe. Thank you all so much for that. But without further ado, this isn't about me. It's about the person in chat. I always say that. And this one is super cool, right? So we have had so many different content creators. Everybody has their unique spin. And the first, we're going to talk about it, but it's super cool because it's something I just recently found out about them about a month ago as I was watching their content. I was just mesmerized by it. But without further ado, let me bring them out. Lenz of Truth, what's going on?
Hello, how's it going? I'm doing well. How are you, Purple?
I'm doing well. And Lenz, I know you're out there on the West Coast. Hopefully you're staying safe, your family's safe. No, it's pretty tough out there right now.
Yes, at least so far for me, I am safe, but the winds are definitely strong right now. And you can see ash pretty much. I didn't see it the last few days, but now I can definitely see it, even though I'm not too close. It is in Malibu, I guess. But yeah, it's at least for the people near in that area, it's pretty bad right now.
Okay. Well, Lenz, just let us know if there's anything we can do.
Right.
I know you're staying vigilant. I see you there, Robolica. Hopefully we can keep you awake as we talk about Lenz and his gaming journey here. So Lenz, just thank you so much. I know we talked about this like maybe 6 months ago.
It's been a while.
One thing led to another.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much for being willing to come on and talk to us about your gaming journey, your content creation journey, which I'm excited to say it's really been taking off over here over the last few months. Like
It's
well earned and well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
So definitely. But I ask everybody the same question when they first come on. And you told me what it was maybe 2 weeks ago. But why Lenz of Truth?
Okay, so well, first, before I begin, thank you for even inviting me. Because I'm all like, wait, you want to invite me? I mean, like, I'm just, I don't know, I'm tiny channel. But yeah, thank you for even inviting me. So that's cool. But yeah, thank you. So Lenz of Truth basically started because I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. And anyone who has played any Zelda game, Ocarina of Time was one of those first ever video games that truly kind of just I really sunk in there. I think I was in middle school. So it's actually an item from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. If you guys have played it, you know. And one of my ideas of my name, I just put a Z in there just because, it sounded cool, but just to kind of be a little different is Lens of Truth is the item in the game where you can kind of see through walls. And my idea was if I start this channel, it's going to be about looking a bit deeper into whatever, like if I do a review, if I play a game, just kind of talk about it. And also my channels also has, I do a lot of fan art as well. So I kind of just
want to get to that.
Yeah. So I kind of always want to do at least a little bit of both and kind of delve deeper in there, kind of do fun facts. And yeah, so that's basically the channel name was because of that. Look a little bit deeper into it. That's kind of my idea. So, and it sounded cool, kind of just saying it, Lenz.
No, it's super
yeah.
cool.
So I was like, yeah, in my head, that's
I just am like, yo, Lenz. I just like it. It just like kind of rolls. And then I when I first saw your name, I thought it had to do with Zelda,
Right.
you know. So obviously the Lens of Truth, y'all, it kind of uncovers secret passages and different things in Ocarina of Time. That's what I remember it for, is like sometimes, but then eventually you get kind of good at knowing where things are, and you know, that's
right. Yeah.
but no, that's super cool. So we got a Zelda fan, you know.
Yeah, and I know you're a Zelda fan too, so yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And for everybody who's out there, I always talk about certain people, you know, Mel, Extra Life Reviews, who's in chat. I always say his game reviews top notch. Lens of Truth is probably in the community, I would say, probably our number one Nintendo streamer. Like, you definitely give a lot of love to Nintendo there. You know, if it's F-Zero, I saw you playing that.
Yes.
I saw you doing Smash. I saw you doing you didn't do a Star Fox one.
Yeah, I did. I did a
you
Star
did?
Fox,
Okay.
and it was basic. Oh, actually, not a review, but a live stream.
Yeah, live stream. Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
live stream, like you do the Nintendo Online. So y'all, if you have Nintendo Online and you want someone to game with, like Lenz is your guy, because he does the gameplay. He brings people on. He has everyone coming through. So definitely, Lenz is like, if you're into Nintendo, he does more than Nintendo. I don't want to make it seem like that's all he does, but he definitely shows Nintendo love. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Sure. And first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Cowboy. Thank you so much. It was 1,000 subscribers. So subscribe to his channel. Let's see him get there tonight. Yes, y'all, he is super close. And
I don't even know how close I am. I haven't checked like since. Oh yeah,
he is super.
If we can do it today, that'd be cool. But, yeah.
Like since you've been, and we're gonna talk about we're gonna do kind of your timeline and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But y'all, like he's an artist. Like, I know some people throw that term out there loosely. Lenz is actually an artist, and I think it's like super cool how you do, like, obviously your live streams you're very interactive, and that's super cool. But I don't think it's a spoiler alert here to say that he actually doesn't just necessarily talk about certain games. Like, he'll talk about games and he'll show you how to draw the characters in some of his live streams and videos. Like, you do both, and what you're thinking and how you're doing it and why you're shading. It's super cool, y'all. So if that's kind of your thing, and I think I watched your Zelda one, I watched your Sonic one. You do the history of them. Like, I've been keeping up, because it's like it's super. I don't think we have a lot of those in the gaming community, even though if I go back like 30, 35 years, there were so many people who were drawing the characters, and it seems like that idea has been lost as we've gotten older, like to draw. But you do a really good job of it. So I just want to say
thank you so much. Thank you.
But we'll talk about that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that said, so Lenz, you know, I obviously kind of gave us a little bit, like, if you were Ocarina of Time came out in, I think, what, 97, 98. So you're somewhere back there, like 84 to 86 timeline, I would say, is where you're born, somewhere around there. What is your first significant gaming memory?
So yeah, so I was born in 86. So if anyone I know, I've always tell people in the chat, like, hey, I'm a certain age. So yeah, I actually just turned 38 in December 15th. So yeah, December 15th. So yeah. So
yeah. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun week of streaming on that week. It was fun. But my first gaming memory was definitely the original Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt.
So so the Nintendo
NES.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that was my first, if I remember, it was probably like 4 years old, 5, when I think an uncle happened to get it for us. I think it was for Christmas, and it was just one of those where, like, as soon as I saw it on the screen, I got hooked. Just the colors, like, who is this, white and red, plumber, jumping on cool looking, enemies, everything just colorful, the music was catchy. So I feel like that was my first gaming memory, was just the Nintendo itself. But yeah, Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and I think around that time Ninja Turtles, just, you know what I mean, the Ninja Turtles.
Were they little? The one where they're like little
Ye-
guys in the water level and they get
the
electrocuted?
the hard water level where you die in one hit. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
okay, so well, if I can kind of just put those together, it was because of those three games, and then I guess the cartoons that happened to have come out around the same time with Ninja Turtles. It was all that, but that was the gaming memory was Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and Ninja Turtles. Yeah, those three I remember vividly always playing those.
All right. So did you now a lot of people remember beating or not or playing, did you beat these games? Like I always have to ask people, like did
Okay,
you beat it?
I never beat the original Mario Brothers because it was just one of those where whatever if I did get to the last castle, you know how it was weird. If anyone knows there's a sequence you have to go in order, and if you don't do it, you run out of time. So I don't. Yeah, there's this, especially the ending of that of Mario Brothers, the original. I was too young to understand that you had to like beat it at a certain time and go through different sections. Just the very last castle for Mario Brothers. So I never beat it then. I beat it a few years ago on the Switch actually. But yeah, that one's one that I never beat. But I got close to I think Ninja Turtles, but not really. But I was too young to.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
remember the last Mario, or the first Mario, like obviously there's platforming it. And when I look back on it, I I'm like, could I do it today? Obviously I could probably,
Mhm.
because given some of the platforming games I've
Right.
done. But like you're jumping on it's like pillars. It's the best way I can say. Like those blocks, like it's like a block and there's like fire in the middle of
Yes.
each
Yes.
block.
Uh-huh.
And like the last level has it's a very long one of those. Like
Yes, it is.
throughout the game, like when you first beat the first level, there's like no like hole. Like you just go up and then you jump in the flag. And then now like looking back, it's like they steadily prepare you for like this last daunting platforming.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's what comes to my mind when I think of oh my goodness. Well, thank you for the gift at Ambi with our Silent Cipher. Thank you, Silent. I didn't even see that. My thing wasn't updated. Silent
Ooh,
Cipher, thank you so much
nice.
for the 20 gifted
Cool.
memberships. Thank you, Silent
Nice.
Cipher, for that. Wow, a lot of purple members now. Thank you, thank you. Y'all can go catch Silent Cipher on any number of channels because Xbox International is where I catch him mostly. But thank you for that, Silent. So all right, so Mario, you did that. You did Nintendo. Any other Nintendo memories? Or is those
Let's
like
see.
the two main ones?
Let me see. Now that I can think about it. Let's see what other. I didn't get into Zelda until way after the Super Nintendo, so I feel like NES because I was still young. I feel like I must have gotten it during the whole transition of NES to Super Nintendo. But I do remember just going to cousin's house and yeah, we played Ninja Turtles at their house. Mario Brothers, just trying to beat the level. So that's probably yeah, those are the main games, at least for the NES for now. And probably some racing games here and there, but I can't really think about those.
Racing game where you're like behind the car and you're
Like the top camera view, those
oh
old
yes,
school
yes, yes,
ones.
yes.
Yeah, I just can't think of the name right now, but it was something like that. Yeah, around that.
Oh, awesome. And I want to say welcome to the real Arrow. I think Arrow's like the real Arrow's like you know,
I'll mention Arrow
Dragonfire,
right now.
Chaos Dragon. So many dragons. We got a lot of dragons in chat. Chill collects says what's up. So many people coming in through. Thank you all so
Yes.
much.
Hello.
I'm a certain age, born in 86. Ouch. I feel really old now. Simpleton, you are really old. I think I'm a little older than Simpleton. Maybe.
Look, what is it? We're not old. We're wise.
We're
We're
wise.
wise.
We're
We're
wise.
getting
My
wiser.
goodness. As we game and think about the gaming of yesteryear. So we I think it's an interesting time, right? So you're gaming. This is probably like 80, this is like 90, 91. Were you like an OG Game Boy type? Because that's coming out right now. Like, did you do Game Boy or no?
Oh, so that's an interesting story. Okay, so with my family, I feel like because we didn't. What's funny is because we had Nintendo and then eventually Super Nintendo. For whatever reason, the Game Boy wasn't on my radar. Like handheld gaming wasn't a thing for I don't know. I know I saw a cousin here and there who had it, but I just even though I saw it, I'm like, okay, it looks cool. I didn't want one. It was kind of weird. It was like, my
Mm.
main thing was okay, just gaming on TV, and maybe in my head I didn't. I probably thought, oh, my parents weren't even going to get this for me. It's probably going to be too expensive, whatever the reason was. But it was like, okay, Mario Land looked cool on it, but I'm like, I'd rather just play it on TV, kind of thing. So it didn't even cross my mind for whatever reason. Yeah, that's probably why.
I don't talk about this gaming. It's a gaming handheld. I don't talk about this as much, and I don't know what we like skip this whole generation of gaming handhelds when we talk about gaming handhelds. I don't know why we do this, but we talk about like people know about Game Boy, right? If they're a little older, they'll talk about like the Nintendo Pocket Watch series.
Oh,
Right. Like, but the thing that I think everybody skips, and I remember these were like commercials in like the 90s, the early 90s. I want to know if you like remember. In chat, tell me if y'all remember this because it was everywhere. Do y'all remember the Tiger handheld games? It was like a Tiger was the company. It was like a thing, and it was like each handheld was like a different game.
Yes.
You do remember that? Why we forget about? Did you ever play any of those? Like no one.
I own some of them. Now that I think about it, yeah, but I just can't think of them because they were so random, right? And they were just
it was like an entire game. Like the graphics weren't as good as like a Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
And it's like very simple, like
very limited. Yeah, very limited frames, right? You do an action, the characters.
I don't even know we call those frames.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, there was like one, like for the walk animation was just 1 and 2, whatever. But if I remember, I was still very young, but I do remember for whatever reason having like a few of those. I just can't literally think of the titles of what it was. Maybe a few, like 2 or 3, but that was it. Yeah.
No, it was like it was like early 90s. Yeah, Rouser, if you remember them. But or Chill Collection. Okay, y'all. Like, yeah, no, they were like commercials. So, like, I think about this. I know we're kind of going off topic. It's just making me think because like each of them was like a different, like you had obviously if it's Jurassic Park, it's like 1990. So you had like a Jurassic Park one, you had like a Little Mermaid one, every Disney movie had one. Like Ninja Turtles would have one.
Ninja Turtles. I remember that. Now that you said it, that Ninja Turtles, I had one.
You have one. Like there's one like just called baseball. Like
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's like I don't know. No one ever talks about those as handhelds. And I'm like, those were handhelds.
Yeah, they were. I don't remember the commercials. That's the thing. Commercials, not even, I guess, might have been too young for the commercials for me to remember. But I do remember now that you said it. Ninja Turtles, baseball. I had, and one other. I can't.
Probably think. Basketball. There's like
something random sport.
One. There's like I don't know. I just like it was interesting because I remember babysitting a kid, and he brought like a gym bag with like 5 of these. And I'm just like thinking back, like, wow,
that's pretty cool.
Oh, and Chaos Dragon, of course, Chaos Dragon. Techno Bowl, yes, Paperboy have one. There go. It's just Joe. Yes, Joe, you remember them. These are the ones. Like, what happened? Why don't we talk about these? Like,
I know,
no one's collecting these. Like any retro games. Teenage Mutant Turtles Splintered Fate. Ooh. We'll have to do that one.
I heard of that one. Yep, heard of that one.
So all right. So sorry about the sidetrack. So you weren't a Game Boy, you weren't a handheld gamer. Yeah, I took us down a whole like memory.
No, but hey, trust me, I like all these. Yeah, that's cool.
So you all right. So did you do Sega or no?
Okay, so no. What's funny is the first time I ever played a Sega, I think I said it in one of my streams. I was getting they were babysitting me at a friend's house across the street, and I remember she's like, "Hey, do you want to play Sega?" And I kid you not, I'm like, "What's a Sega?" I don't know how old I was, probably 7, 6, I don't know, or 8. I can't remember. It was during the, obviously the Super Nintendo era. She goes, "You want to play Sega?" And I said, "What's a Sega?" And then we go to her room. The first game I ever played with her or for Sega was the Sega Genesis was Golden Axe. The first Sega game I ever played was Golden Axe. Yeah, and that's but I never owned a Sega. Never owned a Sega.
No, well, you borrowed it. It's
yeah,
kind of like yours. You had access to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's the first time I ever played it, and playing it at cousins' houses was the first time I ever played Sega games. But I was always, I guess, Nintendo. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it stayed through. So I imagine you have a lot of Nintendo It's a lot of Nintendo memories to talk about. I want to say what's up to Cherry Man. Y'all, if y'all want to be uh up to date on the latest Switch 2 rumors, Cherry Man has you covered. Like
Oh,
every
yes.
Switch 2 rumor, Cherry Man, y'all, has a video out. So go check out his stuff. He just launched one earlier or late last week. So go check that out. What's up, Cherry Man? And thanks, Rouser, for putting it down there. I'm going to be putting it for anybody who's listening to this on the replay. You should see it in the description. I will put it there as well. And actually, I think I could maybe pin this one. I'll eventually pin one of your messages, Rouster, so everybody can have access to Lenz's channel there as we try to get him closer to that 1,000 member goal
Thank you
or
for that.
subscriber goal. He's super close, but he's gonna hit it. He's gonna hit it. Like your content, you have like 2 unique communities, and so it's super cool to see how you've built that.
Thank you.
But all right, so no Sega. You don't know what a Sega is. You haven't mentioned anything about Atari. Despite my efforts, you can't remember Tiger handheld. No Tiger handhelds here. So we got to stick with the Nintendo. And it seems like, okay, you remember NES, but it seems like you're going to really remember Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Super Nintendo, you're coming into your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Super Nintendo is one of those where, because I guess, the 90s, I was 6, 7. Yeah, so that's when I truly remember games are like, oh, I do remember how Mario looked now, and now the 16-bit era, everything's just getting a lot more, detailed and all that. So the Super Nintendo era was like the one where I kind of saw, all the huge Nintendo IPs just kind of just explode or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was dope. So cool.
All right. So which one? So
so Super Mario World. I know everyone who owned. Yeah, Super Mario World. I know. I remember going to Circuit City because my older brother wanted the Super Nintendo, and it was just one of those that came with like a pack-in. It had, for whatever reason, it had 3 sports games in there packed in at Circuit City. It was like a hockey game, NBA Jam.
Circuit City?
I want to say Circuit City, yeah. Back when it existed.
I was like, he just threw that out there. Oh.
Exactly, because it was Circuit City. Yeah, it was.
Wow, my goodness, Circuit City.
Back when it was, So I remember, it was a hockey game, NBA Jam, and I think Stunt Race. If anyone remembers Stunt Race, it was another Super Nintendo game that was with that FX 3D. Want to look, and after that, Super Mario World. So it was just kind of those games at the same time that I remember.
Those, okay. So I know about, obviously Yoshi,
right?
And I think like Super Mario World. I mean, we talked about on this channel a little bit about. I always think like Super Mario 3. I don't know, because you have Yoshi. The graphics. I give it. I understand why people like Super Mario World for SNES or the SNES as Holtz calls it. And then obviously NBA Jam, Classic 2v2, You're on Fire. I always remember that game as an arcade game. Like it was just so loud, and it was like you could hear this game like as soon as you like.
That's hilarious.
This game sounds like. That is what I think of like 1990s arcade is NBA Jam and like Mortal Kombat.
Oh, exactly, right. Boom Shakalaka, right, from NBA Jam. But those games had the sound effects and just those classic lines. Just
what was it? It was like, oh my god! And then he had like there was like was Marv Albert? Who was the person who was commentating? I just remember it was always like.
Oh, I can't think of the name of the person at all.
But it was like it had like an announcer. It was like the first time,
exactly.
Like,
the iconic announcer. Yeah, and that's why people remember the Boom Shakalaka. When, you would do the slam dunk and you're on fire, he's on fire, whatever.
Yeah, you would do like push to break the backboard. Like
exactly.
That was like you could like do these dunks from like 3-point. Like I just remember, man. Yeah, so when NBA Jam came out, that was different. I now realize like how much of a evolution NBA Jam was in like video gaming.
Right, and I didn't even know it was an arcade game. because I didn't really know it was an arcade game until years later. Because I literally wasn't into the arcade scene like that. I guess I was still too young to go to the arcade. I know I would see them at maybe at a grocery store here and there, things like that. But I didn't even know. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I remember, like, all of those games, like, the fighting games, that one, like, I one day we're gonna have to get, like, I guess Holt is a arcade gamer, but we're gonna have to talk arcades eventually. Like, yeah, arcades, it's so interesting how the gaming industry has just evolved and stuff, and, how they brought that to the home
Right.
console. The SNES, Super Nintendo especially, I think, did the most to bring that to make that transition from, like, arcade
Right.
to
Hmm.
home gaming. So, but, man, yeah, and then we have Joe here. Lenz, I may connect you with Joe
Oh, cool.
later on. Um, Joe is he's a indie game
Oh,
developer about to launch a game, and so
Joe.
he's wondering if he can maybe do a collaboration with you, for some
Ooh,
Steam
that would
art.
be so cool. Yes. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
so we'll
Yes.
definitely make
Hello,
that
Joe.
connection here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, thank you,
Joe.
Purple. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
so
no, so
cool.
there you
That'd be
go,
so
Joe.
cool.
No, I think that would be super cool. And y'all go ahead, go over there, like his page. I think we might be able to get you at that. I don't know.
Hopefully, and we can
We're
get
gonna
you
do
where
our
you're at
best.
450, right? Or 550 or something? Yeah,
But,
but no,
but I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah, we're
I'm
trying to
good.
get everyone up
I'm good.
slowly.
I need to become an artist. I need to
No.
become that's what I realized. Like everybody's trying to figure out the like I was like, yo, y'all need to become an artist. um so
Right.
so you had those. Now, you're a
Yeah.
Zelda person. You mentioned, did you play Zelda on either the NES or the
Okay, so
SNES?
with Zelda's kind of interesting. So never on the NES. Yeah, I know, yeah, on the NES never, and then on the Super Nintendo, again, it's kind of one of those things as it was transitioning to the Nintendo 64. I remember playing it. I remember somehow we bought it. It was still I didn't understand how RPGs work like that, where it was like a super open
Yeah.
game compared to obviously like a linear 2D side scroller like a Super Mario. So I played it, but I do remember liking the music. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I love the art and all
Mm,
that. So I could have sworn maybe as I was getting older, then I got into the N64 era. Is probably when I went back a few years later to beat it, and that's when I kind of um, got into the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. So I played it, but never really. I didn't. I guess it was too hard for me still then. For yeah,
that's a very hard
yeah.
Zelda.
But I do remember it was always in the back of my mind, like, hey, I love the music of the art style. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to it at some point and understand how to actually play this type of. So it was one of those type of games where like, oh, I know this is a huge one. I know it's a big adventure. I will be coming back to it eventually. So yeah.
It was on your
Yeah.
backlog. No, like,
Yeah.
and Rouster says he remembers playing the gold cartridge ones. I will eventually showcase. I have one of them that's rated. I have like an
Oh,
original.
you know what? I actually
Sometimes I don't
have one.
have
I
that though.
bought one at a gaming store a few years ago for like 40 bucks. I don't know if it works or not, but it just looked cool. So I just got it. Yeah.
No,
So, but
yeah.
I do remember going to the swap meets a
Yeah.
lot as a kid and always seeing a lot of games, even though I didn't know what they were. So I always saw the gold cartridge Zelda, things like that. So I knew a lot of things of certain games, but not knowing what they were when I was really young. And
Well, I'm gonna since we're
mhm.
talking about Zelda, I don't think I showed my chat this, but so Linz, I'm gonna hop off
No
for
problem.
about
Yeah.
3 seconds. I'll be right back, y'all. I wanna but since we're talking Zelda, I do wanna show this really quick. So 1 second.
So yeah, hello Rouster, Anthony. How's it going? Everyone in the chat. Thank you guys in the chat for coming from. Everyone in here. So many cool people.
There's so many cool people here. So look, I have y'all were talking. You mentioned Rouster mentioned this, so Rouster inspired this, and Lenz, you kind of gave the assist off here, but look, I have like this
Oh, that is
entire
cute. That's cool.
like I have the entire like um Zelda like encyclopedia up through Breath of the Wild. This very special person gave me
Nice.
this
That
for
looks so cool.
I think my birthday, Christmas last year. So I'm always obviously I'm always repping the guy the Zelda Link stuff. So, but eventually I'll eventually find my I forget what is CGC or GCG rated cartridge one. So so that's cool. So Zelda, so you went, so it seems like N64 you were, so it seems like NES
Right.
exposed you to gaming. SNES made it seem more like a established it as
Yeah,
like a hobby,
exactly. Yeah.
right? And then it seems like Super Nintendo really kind of like established it more so as like, this is
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
And you're starting to put some of the
Exactly. Yeah.
lore together, which is kind of cool because Zelda does have
Mhm.
lore. Like, unlike Mario, Zelda, I think, was one of the first ones that really, even though the timeline gets
Yes.
really messed up.
Yes, on purpose. Like they, yeah. They,
Yeah. Like Ocarina of Time,
oh,
especially especially you're going back in time and it's actually one of the first games. I have to think about this. It's actually one of the first games that you are playing with time to tell like potentially two different stories. Like what Star Trek did basically when they were like, you know, messed up their timeline recently in the movies. Like I think I'm trying to think if there's another game that did
at
that
that time, huh? Hmm.
at that time.
Yeah, cause see, that's why it was so memorable for me. It's just because it was something like, oh, this is cool. Young Link, I mean, a child Link and an adult Link. That's pretty cool.
Uh well, my stuff is off. Okay, let me come off. Let me come off. They're saying my stuff is off. All right, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. What about now, y'all? Am I still off? Am I still not matched? Not too bad. Okay. Let me see if it'll catch up. I don't know what happened there. I didn't do anything different. I didn't do anything different. um, but okay, so you went to is it? Oh my god, they're telling me
Oh,
PC's
it's
updating.
probably
I'll have to
freezing or
check.
something. Hmm. Oh,
Mine, I think they're saying mine's off. They're saying yours is good. But they're, hey, geek, what's going on? I don't know. I may have a virus. Still off? Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, y'all. I'll try. I'll try. Maybe that works. Maybe not. Okay, we'll try that. Um, that's weird. But y'all can hear Lenz okay? Like Lenz is on time and
they're saying a
I'm
little
not?
bit delayed, but they said it's fine. Hmm.
But that's weird. So he's his voice is, I guess they're saying like your voice is matching your
Oh,
talking and my voice is not matching my talking. It's definitely off a smidge. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to rewatch this. I'm gonna have to rewatch this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, y'all.
but I mean, unless it's not too crazy, I
Yeah, we'll
wonder,
just keep going.
right?
We'll just keep rolling. We'll just keep rolling. I don't know what's wrong. Like his is
Yeah, I
mad.
mean, something always happens, right? There's always a little, yeah. Trust me with my sound issues that I randomly have too. It's always random.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So they're saying I'm not in sync. I don't know what's
Ah,
I can maybe try. If it becomes bad, y'all, what I'll do is I'll have Lynn stay in. I'll go out and come back in if it gets really bad.
ah.
So let me know if it gets really bad. I'm a ventriloquist. There, it adjusted. Did it? Okay. We'll see. It's fixed. What? Okay, I'll say I know what I did, but I didn't do it anyway. Um, so all right. So you played Zelda. What other 64 games did you play at this time?
Okay, so right before, I do want to mention that Super Nintendo, the one game that is like is very clear in my mind. Obviously, was Super Mario World. Just that game perfect. That's when that got me into platformers. Obviously the music is very catchy and fun, the graphics, all that stuff. So that one's in my mind like crazy because I was obsessed with that game. But the one that I actually streamed not a few days ago was Mega Man X is the one that's in my mind. It was like Capcom and just the cool music in every single stage. Mega Man X is like the one where is like that game's just perfect to me. Like it's hard, but that game was like, oh, this is a cool game. I remember that one.
We actually do have no one's actually obviously Mega Man has had a huge impact in gaming. They did the entire it was featured in Amazon's Secret Level, right? The franchise. Mega Man that's interesting that you like because that's like something. When was the last Mega Man for one?
So the last Mega Man was, what I want to say it did come out on the Wii U. It was like Mega Man. There was actually no, was it on the Switch? There was a 3D, it was a 2D side scroller Mega Man game. I can't think of the name right now. I know people will remember it, but I know it was like at least 5-6 years ago during the 2016-17
that
era.
Switch over between Switch and Wii U?
I think it was on the Switch, yeah. It was a 2D game, but in 3D. 2D side scroller, but 3D. But
on the Switch.
Yeah, it tried to emulate, the old school Mega Man game. So it was a tough game. I remember playing the demo of it, but that's the last game. I want to say 2017, 2018, if I remember. Yeah.
Wow. But I'm just thinking like Mega Man 11. That there goes Geek.
There you go. There you go. Because Mega Man 9 and 10 were on the Wii, and that one had the old school style of the NES games, which were ridiculously hard. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm just forgetting about because recently I found that I like Metroidvanias. Thanks to like Simpleton and a few others who I don't know. When I first came back to gaming, I didn't really care for them, but I find that they're actually somewhat therapeutic for me. In Mega Man, I wouldn't say it's a Metroidvania, but it has some platforming for sure.
Yeah, it has platforming for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I should go revisit that. I don't know. But all right, so Mega Man. So you're seeing the Mega Man on 64?
On the Super Nintendo.
On
so
the
this
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Same thing that kind of happened with the NES. I know a lot of people got introduced with Mega Man on the NES, which is Mega Man 1 through like 6 or something. There's a huge numbers on them, but I never got to play them at all. So Mega Man X was like the 100 years after the original series, so I never got to play those. So I don't have nostalgia for the older ones. Those Mega Man X, the 16-bit one on the Super Nintendo, that really got me into the series or Mega Man in general. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. No, that's super cool.
Yeah, and that's why I streamed it, because it had been years since, because there's been collections over the years on the GameCube, which I own, that has like all the X collections, and I'm like, I want to play it, and yeah, streamed it. And it was a hard game, but it's so fun. Yeah.
I love it. I love how you're always like that. The way you talk right now is how you talk in stream. You're like, it's hard, but it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Like you're like when I was watching you play the Sonic boss the other day, you're like, oh, it's hard, but we're gonna do it.
Right. There's always some optimism.
Yeah, you always have this optimism when you're gaming, and it's like, whoa, and you're doing
hilarious.
It on stream. It's just kind of incredible. So Mega Man, obviously you established. We had not heard that one. I love it when people like, and maybe if I had it, maybe like one or two people have mentioned Mega Man. It's not a franchise that gets talked a lot on this channel. So Ultras will probably be my next Metroidvania. Really geek. My next one will be Nine Souls. That's the next one I want to play.
Looks good.
Yeah. There's another guy on Blue Sky named Andres who I just saw him play that, and I was like, oh my! And Rudix has talked about Nine Souls too. So that's my next like Metroidvania game. Yeah, everybody's saying he's super. Yep. Jaden Cool Gamer YouTube says Chill collects. Yep, he is super positive, like on everything basically. So that was on Super Nintendo, and then you get to Nintendo 64.
Yep.
You obviously played the Mario. You play, but Ocarina of Time obviously opened up your aperture to gaming.
Mhm.
Collecting. I think that's the first game that, because I don't think we had a term for it back then. But the closest thing to collecting to platinuming a game or 100%ing a
Oh, right.
game
Yeah.
would be like, obviously, to progress in that game, you have to like get, there's certain songs you have to get, certain outfits you have to get. But the one thing that's optional that you don't necessarily have to get are the gold skulltulas in that game.
Yeah.
And there's 100 of them, right?
Mhm.
And so that was like the first game where I went and got all the gold skulltulas
Oh, nice.
and all the mini games. Like I did everything you could do in that game. So did you
Mhm.
do everything?
Okay, so I remember having an instruction manual like after the fact, but I want to say I got it. It took me a long time to get those extras, but I do remember doing them. I
Yeah.
do remember doing them. The mini games were fun. The Skulltulas took me a while to find them, but it was a fun, challenge to do. And I even remember one of the few games that I do remember, how some of those, for the most part, that game's pretty easy. They don't damage you too much. The first game I ever played without getting the heart containers, just doing it with 3 hearts.
You did the whole game with only 3 hearts.
Yeah, so I remember playing it because I remember for whatever reason back then, there's friends who are like, "Hey, have you done it without the hearts?" I'm like, "No, but you know what? I'm gonna ignore the hearts and try it." It was a hard one to do, but that was back, when you had time. I was in middle school, type
Yeah,
of thing.
but still
Yeah,
that's hard.
yeah, I
Like you're
know.
beating bosses, you're not collecting the heart.
Yeah,
I mean, I would think it's hard to do that game because there's so many things that you would have to run across a heart to try to
exactly.
avoid leveling up in that way.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, I didn't collect. I purposely didn't collect the boss hearts, because that one gives you a full, permanent
Yeah, it
heart.
gives you
So
a full heart, not a
yeah.
fourth.
So purposely didn't get those. That was the first challenge I remember doing for myself at that time. But yeah, but I just like that game so much. We're like, let me try this because I do remember that time. The bosses took a while for them to even damage you. So it's just one of those things where like, let's make it a little bit harder.
It's
But
super hard.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it was just one of those that people always are like, "Man, they barely even hit you, or they take way too long to."
I mean,
Yeah.
the more I think about like
Yeah,
you could if you had the fairies, right?
yeah,
You put the fairies in the jars. As soon as you die, it would automatically heal. Like, which I didn't find that out till very later. That as long as you had a fairy in the jar
yeah,
and you died, that it would automatically
yeah,
regenerate you. You did not need to. Oh, I only have
physically.
1 heart left. Let me do it. Like you could die and it would bring you back to
Oh,
life.
well, I died so many times that I found out myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh,
Because
that's it.
yeah, that's why, yeah, I found out even in the regular playthrough that I did, how other things would kill you, like spikes and things like that, the normal enemies would be aggressive, so that's how I found out about them, but yeah,
Ah, okay, okay.
yeah.
All right. So we got that. Um, did you play Majora's Mask?
I did. I did.
What did you
Yeah.
think?
So that one, it was funny. I have a love-hate with that one because I played it, never owned it, but I kind of was one of those where I didn't like it much because I was comparing it to Ocarina of Time. Like, hey, why isn't this linear? That 3-day time limit was way too confusing. Why are they restricting you to this and this and this? So even though I played it, I liked some of the elements. It was until years later when I appreciated it a lot more.
What's going on in the game
Yeah.
mechanic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
no.
it was frustrating slowing down time, all that stuff. So we're like, why are they doing this? But even yeah, I appreciated it way after the fact. But I still liked, I still played it. Mhm.
Majora's Majora's Mask and Rabalica has something. Let me get this really quick. Rabalica says, I learned how to warp to later worlds before playing through them in Mario Brothers. Then she quickly found out she was out of her depth. Yeah, that happens. When you can jump to stuff and you haven't built up the skill set to get there. Um,
Oh,
it's happened to a lot. I mean, back then the games dared you to do that.
oh,
They're
that
like,
is
yeah,
true.
they're
Yeah.
like, if you can get there, we'll let you get there. But if you can't handle it, you're gonna find that out pretty.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, and so, but thinking back to Majora's Mask, as you just when I'm thinking about it, what's unique about it? I think again, that's one of the first time to again, y'all, Nintendo, innovative company, even though they say it's for children, it's actually pushing the envelope on so many things.
Yep.
And this idea again where an element in Ocarina of Time where you play with time, right? You are young Link, then you become old Link, and sometimes you have to go back to young Link. They kind of make that very central to the gameplay loop in Majora's Mask. So I thought that was pretty unique to your point. But again, I think most people were looking for Ocarina of Time and not Majora's Mask.
And I didn't understand at the time, but even, my friend who owned it, let me borrow it. Again, the music was always the music kept me hooked too. Do you know what I mean? How good the music is? Like, oh, this is good. The intro to that game was pretty cool. So I did like it. I just never beat it, around the same time. It was till later when I finally completed. I think it might have been on the Wii's Virtual Console. We're like, okay, I'm going to actually beat this game so I can, but yeah. But I appreciate it after the fact. But yeah, the whole life and death with the whole characters was really deep even back then, how dark it was. But it was really...
It's considered, I think, the darkest Zelda.
Yep, it is. Yeah.
Like that, or, Breath of the Wild is dark, kind of, in a way.
Twilight Princess was the second
Twilight
one.
Princess
Is the second darker one, yeah.
Those three, like, the world's dying. It'll blow up. It'll, it's like...
And then Tears of the Kingdom lately was actually another one compared to Breath of the Wild with the whole rebuilding, the civilization, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are. Which makes me think the next one they're going to go like Kid Zelda again. Like they're going to do like a more soft.
Yeah, right. A little bit more adventurous.
Yeah, like a little bit more innocent, more goofy, like funny sounds. But maybe they did that with
Wind Waker.
Oh no, the Princess Zelda one.
Oh, Echoes of Wisdom, yeah. Which I'm still playing through, but yeah.
Like maybe they did that, and so when Switch 2 launches, they're gonna give us a super dark.
Right. You never know with Zelda, right? They can take it anywhere.
Link kills Zelda or something like that.
Imagine. Can you imagine? Nintendo's canceled. Can you imagine? When they just...
that's like super dark. Like Link kills Zelda, crowns himself king, like that. Can you imagine? Real dark.
Wow, very anime, right? Very dramatic. That'd be crazy.
Don't steal our idea, Nintendo.
I know, right? Don't.
Mel would argue Ocarina of Time is the darkest. All right, I'm playing Zelda right now. Tears of the Kingdom specifically. Okay, nice. Starting off really well there. Echoes of Wisdoms. Thank you, Chill Collects. Rabalica says, Rabalica says they had knockoff versions of shooter game. Like which ones, Rabalica?
Ooh,
a knockoff space shooter.
Space shooter.
I don't know which one. We had Star Fox. Were you a Star Fox fan?
Oh yeah,
you did
on the Super Nintendo. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's
first game I played was on the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
That's before. That's when a couple of the bad guys were still good.
Yes.
On the Super Nintendo one, right? Yep. That's an actually interesting thing I've never explored on this channel is how if you think about it, Star Fox deals with this idea of like jealousy. And,
oh yeah.
or this competition and where a good guy could turn bad. Like I don't think I've seen that in a game back then.
Right.
Where because if you think about Mario, you know who the good guys are, you know who the bad guys are, right? Sonic, you know who the good guys are, you know who the bad guys are, right? Ninja Turtles, the Toad game that everybody always talks about. I can't think of the name.
Battletoads?
Is that the name?
I think it is Battletoads.
It's Battletoads.
I think so.
Zelda, all of those. But Star Fox deals with a game where someone was on your team and then eventually becomes or betrays you.
I think on Star Fox 64 is when they talked about that. Yeah.
The actual betrayal, right?
Yeah, the actual betrayal of and then you end up fighting them in the ships. It's pretty cool. Yeah. That's why that's another memorable game on the N64 that just every dialogue is memorable. I like literally can name all of them in my head as I'm playing it before they happen because it's just I played it so much. That game's a memorable N64 game. The Star Fox alone is just that good. Yeah.
No, it was like, and then also in Star Fox 64, it's like one of the first ones where you kind of have that idea that, okay, you can beat the game, right? But if you like can beat it in a certain way, like certain characters will come back and help you later on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Creative
talking
idea.
about? Like that, there's like that chick fighter pilot. I can't
Oh
think of her
yeah.
name.
Her name is Cat and she's pink. She's a pink cat.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
she, like, you help her out, then she can come back and, like, help you, like, that's kinda cool, like, there's, like, this
Right?
entire dialogue, like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the dialogue, the different routes you can take. Exactly. There's just I never seen that before. So that's why it was interesting. Like, oh, if I go in this secret route, I'll go in a different area. So yeah, there was a lot of cool secrets that way. So you really couldn't see the full game on just one run, basically. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
because you had
really
the
cool.
different paths to get to the sun or to
Yeah,
the final boss.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I feel. And what is going on, Angelo? I actually
Mm.
referenced Star Fox. There was a whole debate when Starfield came out, from Xbox,
Yes.
and whether or not you could land on a gas planet or not.
Oh, that is hilarious.
And some people were like, "Well, there's no game where you're flying through a gas planet." And I'm like, "Yeah, you do in Star Fox.
Oh, that's
You do have gas planets in Star Fox."
hilarious.
So Rebecca's family only had a SNES. Oh my goodness! Now she has Switch. Well, you can get Switch Online and to play all the best of NES, SNES, 64. They're adding, right, and I think GameCube. They're starting to add some titles from there.
So they have, yeah, you're right. NES, SNES, N64 is already there. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Sega Genesis, and they're thinking that eventually the GameCube ones might be, here and there. But they have, yeah, they have a lot already. They have a lot.
They have a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, the only one I would want from GameCube. So I think we're kind of on the GameCube, right?
Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah, moving on to the
You're
GameCube.
moving kind of gone to GameCube. So I think the only GameCube game I ever played, was Pikmin.
Oh, that's a good one. That's one of my favorite, like
I
niche. Oh, it's so
know.
good, so good.
I know so many people do not give Pikmin. Like I remember, like when the GameCube came out, like that was a marquee title for it. Like
Mhm.
that showcased the GameCube,
Yes, it did.
and then it was like people just didn't gravitate towards it. And what's going on? Anthony Craig's media and video game connector.
Ooh.
Man, Lynch, you got all the celebrities on you, and they're all
Yeah.
here.
All these cool from your side and our side supporting. Yeah, Angelo and yeah, Anthony, Chill, everyone's here. Winscar, Ronan, everyone's cool.
Yeah. So
Nice.
Mel, so when it comes to Windmaker, I said I don't like the I don't like the kid Zeldas. Like as I'm telling Extra Life reviews, I tell everybody the kid ones are just a little too cute for me.
Mhm.
For
I
me,
wanna I wanna hear more of that because I have an interesting thing that happened to me with Wind Waker and Zelda, but I wanna hear you a little bit more of why you're thinking that because it was this specific era in gaming, but I wanna hear your yeah,
so it's the same
exactly.
era.
Yeah.
So for me, so all right, so Ocarina of Time comes out, right?
Mhm.
Does amazing. Everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, Ocarina of Time, blah blah blah." You can then go back and in the first Zelda I really played. So I played the first one was Link's Awakening, right?
Oh,
The
nice.
second one on NES, and then I played the first one, then I played the Super. And those are all like adult Zeldas, except for the very first one, which is like it's like a very beginning Nintendo game. So I'm super excited, right? And then around this time, like I'm in the army and Game Boy, I want to say Advance, Game Boy Colors start coming out around this time. And a Zelda game comes out. And everybody's super excited because they're
Mhm.
riding high from Ocarina of Time, they're riding high from Majora's Mask. And the game that comes out is a game, and it sounds super cool. It was it's like four swords or four seasons or something like that. And it just was like, I don't
I
know. Like ever since that one, it
I
put
get
this
it.
bad taste in my mouth for like the more fun Zeldas.
Right. I get it.
So
I get
that's
it.
where my and what's going on, Sour Blow? No worries, no worries. Thanks for coming by, Mystic Fragments. And thank you for sharing the link there. Super thank you. For
Oh,
Winscar.
yeah,
Winscar.
What's up? Nice.
So yeah. But tell me, why do you not?
Okay, so you know the GameCube era. Okay, so I know people in chat. I know they're not the only one. If you guys are in the GameCube era with the PS2, Xbox GameCube era, that was the era where games were already in their full 3D. Started off with the N64 and PlayStation. When they're experimenting, and then when they fully went into like where they're pushing polygons, that was when the console wars or what happened with the big three, right?
Right.
Where Nintendo was losing, basically. The PS2 was up here because it was with the DVD player and all that. The newcomer was Microsoft and Xbox. And in little, what is it? If you guys were just, for example, if you were just a Nintendo owner, it was just one of those, or I got it all the time. We're like, oh, that's a kid system. Why are you still playing that, this and this? But if you were in it, the thing was, every single time someone said, oh, the only good game the GameCube has is Smash Brothers, which is the only one that basically they respected at the time. We're like, oh, that's the only one. But if you knew it, you know how you had a lot of good games like, Resident Evil 4 started on the GameCube. That was an exclusive, and then Metroid Prime. But when Zelda the Wind Waker came out, I was deep into the the Nintendo Power magazines and all the magazines you can think of, when you're reading them. So I even as a huge Zelda fan that I was, when I first saw that, I'm all like, oh, why are they doing this? Why, like, I even said that. I'm like, oh, why are they doing this very cartoon when they're already kind of quote unquote talking smack about the the Nintendo is a family system, but why are you like even going even deeper into this whole like cartoony style? But it was because that whole CGI trailer that a lot of people have seen at E3, where it was like Link fighting Ganondorf that looks super realistic. That's what people wanted for
and then
Zelda.
You came out with this one. I remember exactly that.
So it was literally the timing, right? Like that's what people wanted, and we got this. And it's crazy because even as I was talking smack, like, oh, what? I went to go pre-order it at Kmart. Like that's how much I was like, oh, but I know it's gonna be a good one.
My goodness, did you just say Kmart?
Yeah, Kmart.
Like,
And exactly
Circuit City and Kmart.
And
Like we already know the like strip mall that you had. You had a Kmart. Like I can already picture it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, there were so many around me. It was crazy. Yeah.
Kmart.
But it was so funny. I do remember vividly like going to pre-order because, and look, I went to go get it. I have a pretty, I don't know if it's rare or kind of hard to find, a Kmart exclusive Wind Waker GameCube game, where if you pre-ordered it, it came with that manual that I was talking about that I used for Wind Waker, and it came with a bonus Ocarina of Time with the Master Quest that was supposed to only be in Japan. So this is how I also played both of these games with the Master Quest thing. So yeah, this is a Kmart exclusive pre-order only. Yeah. So yeah, I have it in this protective case thingy. So yeah, but yeah,
that's super cool.
So yeah, this was a Kmart exclusive.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it came with a bunch of stuff. I guess Nintendo was really trying to sell them. It is the lowest selling Zelda game because it was basically the timing of, the shooter era was coming. The Gears of War, Call of Duty.
Better graphics are coming.
And
multiplayer is now starting to pick up. I mean, when you think about it, I remember that time because you're exactly right. Like because at this time we don't talk about it as much, but you said, hey, you had the big three, but reality is a fourth one had just shut down.
Yes. Oh, I completely forgot. Yeah.
Right.
The Dreamcast.
So, and everybody, I don't like, everybody like has this nostalgia for Dreamcast, and I'm like, I remember when the Sega Dreamcast came out, and no one had nostalgia for that thing. right? And so then you had Nintendo was starting to struggle,
Hmm.
right? And then you're going into like that PS2 just dominated, right?
Hmm.
That era. No, that was a very interesting Nintendo. If you're especially for you, if you were
Yeah.
in Nintendo, like you
Yeah.
were holding the line for Nintendo.
Exactly. And yeah, it was people like a lot of my friends,
Charlie Darkstar.
who had GameCubes, but they also had other systems. And that's when my younger brother ended up getting a PS2. So like I was surrounded with everything, but I was just, focused on the Nintendo exclusives. 'Cause that's just what I liked, Super Mario Sunshine and all that stuff. But it was, yeah, that era of if things didn't look gray and didn't have blood, this and this, oh, it's a kid system. Why are
It's
you
a kid
playing this?
system.
And it was just that era where, and also too, Nintendo went for the tiny little discs to try and keep from, piracy and all that. So that hurt them in the long run. But it's crazy.
I
It's just
know.
one of those times where
Lenz
I,
is seriously dropping Nintendo like
yeah,
history here. This is
yeah.
super cool.
I ended up doing this in the stream just because I read so much of it and I was like in it. So a lot of little random facts like that where, yeah, Nintendo, I think it was the only time where they tried to. This is the last time they did it where they were neck and neck with it, being powerful as the other systems.
Yeah.
That's the last time they ever did it. And I do remember, like, I was one of those, like, if you really know, the GameCube was more powerful than the PS2. And I know a lot of people don't want to. There's videos on YouTube you can see it because when it came out for the Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, it came out for the PS2 also, but it had less enemies. The resolution was lower, because it was made for the GameCube. And a lot of people don't give it credit just because it was already kind of being talked about as a kid system. But no, because as for power, it was Xbox, GameCube, and then PS2 when it comes to just power. But like, for example, Metroid Prime was like compared to the Xbox, just how good it looked. So there was a lot of good games. It just had so few of them. But
Yeah, so a few of them, and then you had these others that were coming out, and
mhm.
like you had the shooter, obviously Halo, and
Halo,
obviously everything that one did.
Dead or
Uh,
Alive looked crazy on Xbox. Yeah,
and
Project
then you
Gotham
you
Racing.
also had, I mean, E3 had a lot to do with this, right? You
Oh
have
yeah, that was
Sony,
the.
Sony and Xbox are at this time coming out with these movie trailers,
Oh yeah.
and then Nintendo is still playing like the the advertising game that they have played for the previous 10 years.
Mhm.
It's so interesting, like, no one really talks like it's I'm glad we're having this conversation because no
Yeah,
one talks about Nintendo, like, their journey, but your gaming journey is the Nintendo
exactly. Yeah.
like, you're not someone who yeah, I was on Nintendo, then I went to PlayStation, then I
Oh
came to
yeah.
Xbox, like, you're sticking with Nintendo the whole time,
Yeah, exactly.
and you're enjoying it, and
Mhm.
so, you go through the GameCube era, and you're like, "Okay, it's do or die Nintendo." They come out with the Wii, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And so what do you think of the Wii? Because like, when I saw the Wii the first time, I was like, "They're done."
Oh, really? Oh,
I said,
cool.
"They're done."
That's hilarious. That's the first time I ever heard of that. That is hilarious. Okay.
When I first saw it,
Right, right.
yeah, because you gotta think at this time, like, what are consoles looking like?
Oh,
You
right.
then
Looking
give
like.
me this thing that literally looks like a TV remote. Like,
Oh,
it
gotcha.
just does, what's going on, ISO? We're just talking a little Nintendo history here. To find the LCD games I played in the 80s. Oh my goodness, Robolica is going and looking at her. She's going to watch everything, that's already happened. What's going on, Crow? But yeah, that's what I thought when we first came out. And
Right,
you
right.
gotta think at the same time, I'm in the army, I'm deploying, I'm not really gaming.
Right. So it's
Uh
completely okay. I can see that. Obviously, depending on what you're doing at the time, yeah, I can see that. Mhm.
yeah. But what did you so you see the Wii and obviously you have a different opinion.
Yeah, and then yeah, same thing with the Wii because I was so into the Nintendo thing. I was waiting for, oh, what's the next Mario game gonna look like? What's the next Metroid gonna look like? Zelda. So I was more like, oh, I don't care how it looks like, maybe, or when it was revealed, it was like, oh, okay. But then in my head, I'm like, that's Nintendo. They are always gonna do some kind of gimmick. You know what I mean? They're always gonna do something weird and crazy. But then at the same time, I was still the type because I'm not a casual gamer, so I'm not the kind. Because like even though trust me, there was a lot of shovelware on the Wii, and everyone knows who played it. There's shovelware like crazy because that's when companies were just like, oh, we can sell whatever mini game and we'll make money off of it. But I was into, like, ooh, when Mario Galaxy came out, that game looked freaking amazing. And then what else? Twilight Princess came out.
Twilight Princess did come out on the Wii.
And then Metroid Prime 3 Corruption looked so good. Those are like the big three. And then Donkey Kong Returns. Finally, actually, that's what the name. It made a return after how many years from the Super Nintendo. It was a good, hard platformer. If you guys played it, you guys know. So I was more like that. I was more because I'm into the AAA IPs that Nintendo does. So I was more like, oh, I want to see what the next.
So you're into Nintendo first party IP.
Yeah.
That's just so into it. I'm surprised the one you haven't mentioned because you're talking platformers, you're talking Nintendo Central IP. So you mentioned Metroid, you mentioned Donkey Kong. We've talked about Star Fox. We've talked about Zelda. We've talked about Mario. You haven't mentioned Kirby.
Oh, see, there you go. Completely skipped my mind. Yeah, because Kirby, what's crazy? Kirby, now that completely skipped it. But Kirby, oh well, now that you reminded me, Kirby was the first Game Boy game I ever played from a cousin who had it. Speaking about the Game Boy that I never owned one, when I saw that, I'm like, hey, the music's catchy, this cute little round character, even though I'm like, hey, that's a cool, I'm like, oh, that's definitely Nintendo. Do you know what I mean? Just because of
it's still Kirby's like one of the most Nintendo characters you can be.
Yeah, and then now that you mentioned that, Kirby is always the double A, that was always there with the Nintendo. It's still in the top, big Nintendo IPs, but it was one that I always played. A Super Nintendo, Kirby's Superstar was a good one. And then on the Wii, I think Kirby came back with Kirby's Return to Dreamland, I think, after a long
No, they had the one that came out last year?
No, so on the Wii, there was Kirby's Return to Dreamland that came out on the Wii back in like 2010, 2011.
Okay.
It was, or 29, but it had been like, I don't know how many, I want to say a good, since the N64 had been, I want to say a good 8, I don't know, it was like 10 years since it was on a console in 3D. It was always on handheld. That's when Kirby dominated, was on handheld. So Kirby's Return to Dreamland was on the Wii, but they did a remaster on Switch, so you can play on the Switch.
Nice. Yeah. I'll have to. I haven't been hooking up. I'm looking at my Switch right now. I feel so bad. I haven't really played it.
But there's a demo though. There's a demo for that specific game, so you can try it out. There's a demo.
I may have to say
Kirby's.
I may play a little bit of Nintendo here coming up, and then Mel's talking about Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is coming in a few days.
Yep.
So obviously, Donkey. As we're talking about this, and we're gonna eventually make it up there, but I do want to talk about like your channel. I know we're not on your content journey just yet, but I think I told people, I came across your channel probably like a year ago, I would say, and the Real Arrow, shout out to him. Like that's who I was kind of following. Then I saw you and he said, yo, Lenz is doing stuff. And so then, and also with the Real Arrow was shout out to Ronan Storm. He's another one like that. I knew those guys from like Doc Dark and a couple of other people. And then I started following your stuff, and you always positive type of content creator. But it wasn't until like last month, right? There's like kind of a lull between the people who are putting out content because it's the holidays. And that's when I saw you start to draw.
Oh, right.
Like you're talking through your drawing and you're doing stuff. Talk to us a little bit, because a lot of people like you're an artist, like, so you have not gone and seen his artwork. Please go look at Lenz's stuff. He does live streams with it where he's interacting with you, and then he also does the videos where he kind of like super professional looking videos of it. And so how long have you been drawing? And is that a career path for you, or is it just a hobby for you? Like, talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so yeah, glad you brought that up because I knew we were going to talk about it eventually. So it's crazy with gaming and art was literally always together. So it was funny because I think I spoke to my mom a few months ago just to kind of be like, so when have I been drawing? I thought I started around 5 because that's when kindergarten's into this, but no, she just told me that I've been drawing. I just knew how to draw since I was 3. So I just knew how to do it and I never stopped. And that's basically my career path. I did go to, community college and university, Cal State Fullerton when I graduated. So that's yeah, I never stopped. I all the way through middle school, high school, all art classes, just because it was just something that I was good at. Painting, all that stuff, never stopped. And it was literally just something that I did. If I wasn't gaming, I think I mentioned this in one of my art streams when I was playing actually when I was drawing Sonic and Kirby and this was if I wasn't gaming, I was reading through the instruction manual with all the art in there and I was drawing it. And I was drawing the artwork that was in the instruction manuals because it was like it just looked cool. So I guess one of the games that I completely didn't talk about was Super Mario 64. How big of a that like do you guys remember that Super Mario 64 little kids opening the box meme from way
Yes,
back in the I kid you not, that was me and my little brother, like kind of almost like unboxing it, and then we're like, "Oh, it's a 60." Like that was like
that was
we
your
had the
thing. That
same.
was you.
That was basically how we kind of when we opened it, like, oh, because we had asked for it for months. You know what I mean? And I remember my mom to this day is like, "Do you remember?" She speaks Spanish, so she's like, "Do you remember El 64? El 64?" To this day, she goes, "Because that's like I always ask for it all the time."
She
But
remembers that name.
yeah, she remember how she's like, you remember used to bug me for El 64, El 64. But yeah, no. So art and gaming were literally, if I wasn't doing the other, it was both at the same time. Yeah.
Wow. So did you go to school for art or you just
Yeah, so I went to community college for it and then graduated from there, transferred, and then did Cal State Fullerton. And yeah, so I ended up getting an animation degree, a arts and humanities, a bachelor's in fine arts. And so, yeah, so I ended up doing all of that with,
so
it
you're
was,
you're like legit artists. Like
yeah,
you like actually go into art theory, like
we had to do art. What is it? I can't think of the
wow.
name. Well, I did so many I can't even think of the name of those history of art classes, all that stuff. So all the way through community college and university, we had to like it was for me. It was really cool because there was times where like, oh, your field trip is go watch this animated film, go watch this. The Princess and the Frog was one of our extra credit things to go watch because it was important back then to when Disney, was going back to 2D for a little while, you know what I mean? And watch this animated film, go watch Wally, things like that. In classes, we would watch.
His degree was to go watch Disney movies. So whatever you all have heard about art degrees, it's true. No, I'm joking.
Imagine her. Well, that was some of it, but it was hilarious because I think it's funny because in my art streams, because we have voice chats in there with a lot of cool people that are also content creators, and we're just talking pop culture. And I'm always mentioning this where when I was in class, I thought a 4 hour long art class was long, but then because I did it so much, time would fly by. And then my longest class was 5, 6, 7. I even had an 8 hour class at
What are you
university.
doing this whole time?
Oh, well, the thing is, so for the most part of those 6, 7, 8 hour classes was just once a week, so it made sense. And then we would get like an hour break in between, 15 minutes, here and there. But for example, I took a lot of drawing nude live art classes, life drawing.
Oh, of course, those.
Yep, life drawing classes. When I tell you I've drawn, because we had to take gesture drawing classes. That's why I can draw so quick. It's crazy because I can draw a live, like for example, I can draw you like super quick live, like real life, because that's what I started doing first.
Can you draw me
Shading.
now?
I can actually like do like a quick, version of you type of like
Can you do it?
I can actually do it, yeah.
All right, let's see you do it. Like, could you do it?
Let me see if I have
Yo, he's gonna do a live drawing. This is
but I
like
wonder
Shades of Purple first. I'm
like I
putting
can
you
do
on the spot.
I can do like a quick sketch, but we'll see how it goes. But how about you ask questions and let me see if I can do something.
I'm gonna ask you questions and we're
Yeah.
gonna do all right. So we're
Hopefully
talking about art,
right.
we're talking about games, what is your favorite like type of character to draw? So like wait, let me do you like to draw like comic book type of characters, or do you like the more Nintendo type of characters? Like what type of characters do you like to draw?
So one of the things I do remember that I like to draw was the X-Men. So you know we were talking about like cartoons and Ninja Turtles and stuff. I do remember for whatever reason, Ninja Turtles, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men were those ones that I always was drawing. So it was kind of cartoons. So that's why I kind of remember it was Nintendo and just cartoons, back to back. Kind of those were the type of things that I like to draw was cartoons because I was always doing both. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So if you're so you went to school to become an animator, like, or what was the degree? I know you
So,
said.
yeah, so even though it said animation, it's because we did traditional animation. So we did traditional animation, and it was mainly, how they taught us the old school way of doing things, with paper and things like that. But even though it said animation, yeah,
The old way of doing things like with paper.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize we were old school if we draw with paper.
Well, I guess when they said like traditional animation, it was like, because we did learn how to use Maya and things like that, but it was mainly because we did so much, they told us we had to cover like storyboarding, things like that, how to do storyboards and
Oh wow.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
you do like old school stuff. So you're what do you think about the new cartoons then? Like that are all digital and like not really, I guess they're drawn. I don't want to say they're not, but they just seem different to me.
Well, it also comes down to the art style. You know what I mean? A lot of art styles they use a lot of flash animation.
What's flash
Flash
animation?
those very think of the Fairly Odd Parents, very flat looking because it's simple for and it's less expensive for companies to do that type of way. That's why a lot of kids cartoons are very quick, movement
Yeah, I
here and
can't
there.
stand quick cartoons nowadays.
The only reason it's because it's cheaper to do. And that's why back then, like I said, when it was hand drawn, obviously it cost more, but that's why like for example, The Simpsons had personality because it was drawn on cells and things like that.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, no, I can't stand kids cartoons now. Like if I have to watch a kid um who's that's not my blood or anything like, no, no, even them. Um we're watching older cartoons.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, like I can't do the new ones. I was just telling someone like I don't like the weird, like when you have cartoons with weird heads and weird, like it's just weird to me. Like it's like I don't know what to think about these new kids nowadays. So Joe says I made some of my first games in Flash. Ah,
And there was this thing called Digicel too, where we were just kind of taking pictures of every drawing that we did, and we had to put on the computer and kind of put it together. Like those flip type of.
yeah,
You remember
book.
flip? Yeah, those flip books. Imagine that, but just taking a picture of it, then putting it together on the computer to show it. Like we had to do one where we had to walk in a walking animation, things like that. So it was kind of showing us how early animation started, and then kind of going up to I guess now.
Okay.
But yeah.
So in your real life work, do you draw?
So my real life work, I am a graphic designer. So I do package design for like a small company. So it's still in the same type of photoshopping thing that I do. Very simple, but it's still, package design for certain products, things like that.
Okay, so do you ever feel like you're kind of limited when you're doing, because like when I talk to artists who
Yep.
do art like as their job, right? Some of them
Right.
are in marketing, some of them are in some, like music is another one. It's always like they're like, it is what it is, but it's not. It's not it's not everything I can do. Like, do you ever get that feeling like you just.
Right. So when it comes to that, that's why I started the YouTube channel was because I felt like, oh, I can be a lot more creative, you know what I mean, with this. And even though I am doing art related work at my job, which is Photoshop, things like that, which surprisingly what I went to school for when we did paintings for whatever, we had to learn how to take our own picture, edit it, send it, through email, this and this. So luckily I had all that training, in classes, even for all of that stuff. For because I did have typography classes. So we did DVD cover, homework, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I got used to doing all of that editing stuff. So I can do that. But even on the side, I do, for example, I do Skillshare. I don't know if you've heard of that Skillshare before.
What Skillshare?
So Skillshare is a platform where, for example, I break down a class that I record myself drawing something, and then it's basically a tutorial on how to draw such and such. So for the past 3-4 years, and that's how I started my art channel, was because I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do tutorial videos, that was kind of my whole like practicing all that. And then Skillshare I started 2 years ago, so I've been putting some art classes on that, to hopefully earn some passive income, because you get
Yeah,
paid
no, well,
through.
you have I think now I'm like, yo, I want to go.
Yeah, so
What
exactly.
how cool is that, y'all? Like, that's super cool. Have you
So
ever
it's go ahead.
thought about becoming a game like artist or animator?
Oh, well, I mean, not an animator, but I always wanted to do video game concept art, because I can come up with ideas for fantasy monsters and things like that. But it was just one of those things where there was always something, when you look at an application where it said, oh, but you must have 5+ years experience in the thing already. So it was always one of those things. So I never really kind of, you know what I mean? There was always something that you had to like, wait, but how do I have the
Well, this would be cool. I see Joe's right there. That would be cool. Like, you could become like, I mean, if there was something, and I would love to see you and Joe collaborate as he's like building his like thing.
right.
I know you're like, oh, that's work, but I would love to see something there.
No, that'd be cool, because I mean, I always had that in the back of my mind of like, oh, what if I did a cover for, like, for example, when I would always look at people, who are hiring for, a book cover or a video game, concept art, things like that. I always looked into it. I just never, really approached it. But even though I have been approached to do smaller, commission work, like for example, I think a few years ago, I drew, what do you call it? Ray from Star Wars, Darth Vader, on my art channel, and I posted it on DeviantArt, and all of a sudden someone from Paris was like, hey, we have a video game magazine, we can't pay you, but we do have this like art magazine where people just put in their fan art, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, do you want to submit it? I'm like, okay, cool. So I had some opportunities like that where I was just posting stuff and randomly people would find me, just because like I do hyper realistic stuff, and then I can do like almost every art in between that you can think of, kind of.
Oh, that's super cool. Well, ISO Motion VR, he's being a little impatient here. Once he says he wants to see this sketch, but ISO, it takes time. Art
Oh
takes
yeah,
time.
trust me. By the way, it's hard to talk and draw, and like
It takes time.
it is
talking.
ridiculous. So what's funny is, speaking of like the art streams that I started doing on my gaming channel, that was just another one experiment where, like, you know what, I haven't done live art streams in a while, like at all, so I might as well start doing them now and see if people like them and support, people have enjoyed them, because I wanted to do more of that on this channel, and that's where I'm going to be focusing more instead of my art one. And yeah, so it was more of like experiment. We're like, okay, the first hour I'm going to do a tutorial, then the next people just come in and we just talk gaming, and just I think you've seen some of them. We're just talking as I'm drawing. So I'm slowly trying to, because it's hard. Trust me, it's slow. It's hard to like draw, talk, and like.
No,
it's
you're
like,
doing
yeah.
You're doing well. So like, y'all, the one I really sat there and it was like one recently. He did Sonic, right? And you were like actually talking through you were talking through the history of Sonic, which I thought was really cool, because you had just played a Sonic game. You are drawing Sonic, you're talking through the history of Sonic from your lens, the lens of truth. I see what you're doing.
Exactly.
And it was super cool to see that, especially for some of those older games, right? And so it was just really cool to see, because the Sonic you drew was an older Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
And you had just played a newer Sonic, right? And so I thought that was really cool. Obviously, you did a Zelda. I saw the quick version of it. I didn't see the playthrough of that. So I just think that's like it's just something we don't see, right? You see some people who are artists, you see some people who are retro gamers, you see some people who are live streamers of like current or variety games, but the way you kind of string it all together to me is really unique.
Oh, thank you.
And I can see why like I said, like once I started seeing that, like it seems like by the day you're getting like 40, 50 new it's like it's taking off. So I will definitely say there is for sure an audience for that.
Thank you. And well, this is what I have so far. Obviously, this is very quick. It's not even, you know what I mean? It's still
Oh my goodness!
like I'm telling you, this is very quick, but I'm telling you, it's one of those where I'm like, oh no, this is not
Yo,
even
he did
completely
his
done.
shades of purple. He was talking.
It's
He
hard.
drew me.
And this is one of those where I'm like, no, this is not even close to what I can, but
Oh my goodness.
it's still very, you know.
I love it. Lenz, I need to see Lenz, I'm gonna send you some money.
No,
If
you don't know. Trust me, you don't have.
if
You don't.
that looks so good. Yeah, that's an
I'll-
artist. That's an artist.
I'm gonna go back and like take a screenshot and actually like finish it. I'll take one right now later on, and then when it's done, and I'll show you how it's like finished. But yeah, it was
Okay.
just a quick
Yeah, so he is not lying. He's not lying. He's not someone who's like, let me he was actually drawing. So I just want you all to know, I did not like I did not. He needs one more sub to. Oh my goodness, y'all! We got to do. Let me see. I think.
Wait, are you serious? Are we at one?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh!
What? We got to do this. We got to.
Hello, Holtz. How's it going? ISO. I see you guys. Windscar.
Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can. I'm pretty sure I have something
That
else
is hilarious.
here. I'm pretty sure I have something else here. Let me see if I can. Let me see if. Someone post his. Done. Do we got it? Oh my gosh, let's go! Yes, we did it. Yo, that's I was there when ISO hit 1,000. So that was like the second time I've been there when yes, he got it. Lenz, 1,000, dude.
Oh wait, already. Nice. Thank you guys. Dude, I didn't even think of I did not even think we were gonna
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's what it's all about. Yo, but did y'all see he hit 1,000 while drawing and answering questions during an interview. Like, yo, that is crazy.
I drew your earring right now because that was bugging me. I drew your earring right now.
Oh my goodness.
It was bugging the heck out of me that I missed the earrings.
Oh, and I'm moving.
Yeah, I know.
Moving.
No, I'm telling you, when we were in art class, we had we had to draw nude people, and they would change their positions for every minute, every 5 minutes. They would do like a few seconds. We had to get the body down like quick. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. See, Simpleton was in chat and he was saying he couldn't draw. He also was trying to draw new bodies, but they kept moving while they were dancing on the pole. And so I just want to tell you, Simpleton, you're not good then, because he can draw new bodies while they're moving.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh, that is funny. Yeah, thank you guys for the. That is hilarious.
Yeah, I just want to say, for one, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hit 1,000.
Thank you.
Just to see your growth and how you kind of like have built it out, and like I said, you definitely have like unique content. You bring a unique perspective. Like to be a trained artist, and just to see you like in that element, I think last week when or 2 weeks ago, I think you explained what the Lens of Truth was on stream to me.
Right.
And I just want to say you're doing that, man.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing that. I need him to put a cowboy hat on purple. Yeah.
Oh, hilarious. That's cool.
Oh my goodness. But then also, just awesome. Like, I just want chat to know, I was running late behind scenes because I couldn't log into my own restream. But Lenz was there, and I said, yo, we're going to talk, about your gamer tag, your gamer journey. He had no idea I was going to ask him. I had no idea he could do that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Everything you saw right there was like literally him I don't even think I can find a piece of paper and a pencil to draw, like, in the amount of times when you did that. Like, he did that all, like, mid-interview, talking about art. He then goes, picks it up. He then comes in, and he's not like, "Okay, let me take a picture, Purple." Like, I'm moving. Like, you know what I mean? That's super dope. Like, that is cool. Like, that Lens, I just wanna say that's super cool.
Thank you. No, trust me, it's one of those where even as you asked me, was like, "Ooh, I need to lock in." I need to, yeah, it's one of those.
No, he's
Yeah.
like, he was like, when ISO's like, "Yo, I wanna see," he's like, "Okay, let me focus." He went in and he did, like, all of that right then. ISO said, "Do you do digital art as well?"
Okay, so yes, um, so one of the two latest fan arts that I did a Star Fox fan art. You'll see it in. I have a whole category of all gaming of art type of thing. So I do digital, I do pencil paintings. I will do eventually a painting. More on the stream because I work with every medium you can think of. Because I remember in school, they were like, okay, we're gonna do this is a painting class, this is a color pencil, so I do every medium you can think of. I do 3D clay. I've done clay before. So I haven't posted this video yet, but I did a Meta Knight from Kirby out of clay back in school. I just never posted it because I never had a video for it. But yeah, you'll see that it's because we had to do everything. So
So cool.
yeah,
So cool.
so I did Stellar Blade and watercolor pencil and pen and pencil and marker, all four different mediums when the game came out. So
Wow.
but yeah.
People tell me to play this game. I still don't know what it's about. They tell me it's amazing, but no one can tell me what the game's about.
Oh, it's a sci-fi Dark Souls-esque like Black Myth Wukong. You just fight cool monsters, it's gory, and the music is dope. And there's a demo. So if you the demo, you'll when you play the demo, you'll get it. Yeah.
Okay, I may have
Yeah.
to do one. I may do it for a stream after I finish. What am I playing right now?
It's a tough game, but yeah, it's a
Is
when you
it
play the demo, you'll get how it plays. It's a very methodical type of, yeah.
okay? And I still want to know: do you do commissions?
I haven't done commissions in a while, only because, for example, if as soon as I get home, I'm trying to do the editing for like Skillshare classes. So I've been doing, yeah, I can do them, but it's just one of those where it depends on what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Well,
just,
I didn't mean to put you on the
oh,
spot.
no, yeah, no. Yeah, no, it just
Right.
depends on what it is. But yeah, I mean, I do them, but trust me, it's just one of those where, and how do I put this? When we were in school, we also had a class where they taught us, okay, people who don't know art will think it's just, oh, you're turning in an art and that's it. But they don't know that for example, like the few commissions that I've done, I start charging from the day I start doing the thumbnail, ideas. You know what I mean? Because it starts from there. Because I want to know, at least for me, I want to make sure I know what you want and not towards the end. Because I've heard people where they say like, oh, they did a finished product and then the person at the end is like, oh, you know what? I don't like it. You just wasted kind of my time type of
Oh
thing.
my goodness.
There's literally people. That's why I do them so rarely, because I've been to websites where, and I know there's more artists out there, because I know that's why I started the channel. Like, I know I'm not the only one who likes the game and do the art thing at the same time, where there's websites where I'm not even kidding you, they'll say, I want 10 full drawn color, drawings, but my budget's $100. It's like, but you only have 5 days to do it. So like, they don't understand the concept of this literally takes time. It's not just,
Yeah.
and
No,
yeah, they just don't understand, and they just think it's just you hand it in, and it's like, no, like it's like it takes literally
it's a
hours.
creative process.
It's like creative, but people just think, oh, because it's art, it's like it's not that important. So that's why it's one of those things that I even hesitated to start this art channel, because I'm like, are people even gonna care? You know what I mean? So
No, man, it's super cool. You're seeing like Chad's super excited about it.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I obviously I was like, "Well, draw something."
no, but hey, it's one of those where like I try to keep my cool, but I'm like, hey, I told myself, if because I put a few job interviews that I had, they're like, oh, to do this, Photoshop for this item. Can you remove this background like this? And they put me on the spot right there, like, and I did it. And they're like, oh, you're hired because you actually knew how to do it the way that's efficient, this and this. So I got, I did so much where I'm like, okay, I can at least try it and see
You
if I,
can like get in there and do,
yeah, I just have to be ready. Yeah.
if you really, I worked with Wit. She's in chat. Wit actually has worked with me in real life, and Wit will tell you we've worked with creatives before. And coming from the army, coming from like a consulting,
Oh, okay.
banking, real business, and once I got kind of more into like working with creatives, because I had to like, when I owned the entire production of something, like I found out about the creative process, like, right? Like,
Oh, so you
we
can.
like, I'll say, "Okay, I need this is the timeline I have the project," right? And they'll be
Right.
like, the first year I was like, "Okay, 2 months." And then it's like a week before they're like, "Yo, we're not done." I'm like, "How can you be done? I've been talking." So now I realize, like, really, if I want to work on a project, like I have to start so early because so many of the questions y'all are asking, you're like, well, like you're really trying to pull out what I want.
Mhm.
And so I have a full appreciation. Yeah, yeah, Whit knows exactly what I'm talking about. I have a full appreciation for like it's not even starting early, it's just being able to communicate what.
Yeah, it's literally communication.
Yeah.
It's literally communication where I'm the kind of person where like I want to know exactly what, because I want it to work for you. Do you know what I mean? I want, if for example, if you say, oh, for example, I do a lot of logos for family, things like that. And I'm always communicating. I tell them I'm gonna be emailing you so we can know exactly. I can give you ideas and we can work from there. So I'm the type of like, I'm the type who's gonna send you, instead of 3, I'm gonna send you 10 from all these. What do you like of each one? This and this. So that's how I kind of want you to have the best thing, and then we can work from there at the very end. So it is one of those things. It just takes time. It just takes time.
No. Well, thank you for Lance for doing that. And Cowboy, thank you for coming by. Cowboy, thank you for the donation. Also, I also want to shout out Silent Cypher out there for doing the gifted 20 gifted members. Thank you so much, Silent. Thank you, chat, so much. And Lenz, I'm not, I know we started talking about John in the middle of
Oh
your
yeah,
gaming journey.
no, that's good because it literally goes perfect with yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for the content journey, obviously your Switch, you're like I say, when it comes to Nintendo, you do other platforms, but you definitely have, I think, a Nintendo affinity on your
Yeah.
channel, right?
Mhm.
I think that's safe to say. And obviously Switch, we talk, we're Switch now, but we want to talk, what do you want to see from Switch 2? As a Nintendo like
Right.
creator almost, what would you want to see?
So on the online, I know how it's funny because I've talked about this every single time I can. When it comes to Nintendo, they're behind on their online infrastructure, however you want to call it. That's the one thing I want to see. Like they need to step it up because they're like always 2 generations behind when it comes to everyone else. So some kind of better online, same thing, something comparable to, Sony's and Microsoft. Just make it simple where everyone can just, every single game can have voice chat. I know they're a family friendly company, but I'm like, that's what the parental controls are there for. So at least on that end, better online everything. That's just, they're the weakest at that.
Uh,
Yeah, at least for
it-
that. Yeah.
so better on. No, I would like, right. You can't even do like you can't really. The voice is kind of, you can do voice, like voice can come through, but it's kind of like
It's annoying because you can do, it's like it's an online, it's a phone app, which is annoying, but it's crazy how it's certain games, certain companies they have to work with to just do it for a certain game. So certain games have it perfectly, some games not at all. So it just doesn't make sense. It's annoying.
no. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say online. I would just say all like just having a solid online
Yeah.
how to match up, how to do that. Obviously, you're
Mhm.
dealing with more. There are more kids who are on Switch than maybe the
Yep.
others, so you obviously have those privacy concerns and
Yeah.
controls. But hopefully, I would agree. Like, that would be. And then Rouster, he's in chat.
I see him.
He's a channel regular channel member. His son's really good at racing games, and he wants to play with you on.
Oh, he's been in my Mario Kart chat. So we yeah, he's been a
Oh,
lot of
you
your
have, so you know Rob.
yeah. So right,
Yeah,
hello
okay, good,
roster.
good.
Yeah. So it's funny because a few of your cool people have been on my chat. So we've talked. So yeah, he's been a lot of my Mario Karts, and I'm like, yes. So as soon as he's been talking about his son getting Mario Kart, and every time I do a Mario Kart live, I'm there for like 4 or 5 hours, and people just hop in and play. So yeah. So yeah, we were
Awesome, awesome. I
yeah.
love that. I love it. It's all about that. That's what this is all about. It's always about the community and just seeing like who is the whether it's content creator or someone in chat, who is the person behind that, like the gaming and I think what's super cool is like we get to relate on certain things, but
Mhm.
then just to see like in this one, like your art or everybody has like a different skill or story or
Right.
something very unique to them. And I think that's what it's all about is just finding out people and what drives them,
Right.
and what they're adding. And you're adding something super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so okay, see Robolica says my 7-year-old asked for acrylic paint markers for Christmas, is in busy redecorating an old computer keyboard.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
cool,
that's
like a
super cool.
custom keyboard. That's dope.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's like super like acrylic paint too. So in Lens, you do all of that, right? You paint, you draw, you do clay. Here, here's a question.
Right.
We've had musicians on the channel,
Oh,
such
yes.
as like Ninja Guy X, we've had Bjorn, we had Main Games, we've had several musicians on the channel. And I'm sure we've had some artists, but you're kind of like one of the most like artist ones. In your opinion, what are your top? I'm not going to say your favorite, but what are some of your top games when it comes to art style?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Top games for art style. Okay, let's see. Because I know, obviously, when in gaming, there's like polygon pushing, and then just art. So Wind Waker, I know that. Yeah, and then it's one of those. Well, going back to Wind Waker. Wind Waker was one of those because cell shading compared to realistic drawings. If you see, um, uh, what is it? Games from that time, 2005, 2004, that look very realistic. Brown compared to something that's very stylized, like Wind Waker, cell shading, very cartoony. That one's gonna be timeless because it's not going for anything real, any textures, things like that. So Wind Waker still holds up, and when it came to the Wii U, like even better, high resolution. So Wind Waker is a good one that's just super animated like a Disney film, which was they were comparing it to. So Wind Waker. I want to say for a good 16-bit one that the art and mood just kind of fits is Super Metroid. Super Metroid's a good one because it's like the darker colors, and obviously the mood sets it, but just they're very detailed sprite work for Metroid. If you guys have played Super Metroid, you guys know it's one of those timeless games that's not going to age because of the 16-bit era. It's another good one. Let's see. Oh, it's Splatoon. I'm a huge Splatoon player, so
You like Splatoon, so
oh
you think
yeah,
that one's like the art style of Splatoon is really sticks
it
out.
yeah, because when it came out, people thought Nickelodeon. Imagine Nickelodeon, that type of because of the splatter, paint,
Oh,
and it's a very fun looking game. So that's just a very unique, Nintendo take on shooters also. But that's another good looking one. It's another one that I can think of that has a good art style.
so what do you think of like some of the ones that have like so like when I think of
Mhm.
art style ones, like let's say one like a Spirit Fair.
Oh,
Have
that
you,
one sounds familiar.
yeah,
Spirit
okay,
Fair.
so or let's say like an Ori.
Oh, Ori is a good one. Yes, Ori's a
So
good one.
Ori,
I
so
played it. I
Ori
played
make
this.
the list. I just
Yes.
want to make
Yeah, I
sure.
forgot. You know what's funny? What's funny? I played. What's the second one called? Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Or what's it called?
Ori
And
and
the
yeah, Will of the Wisp is the second one.
second one. Okay, so I beat that one. I played the demo of the first one, but yes, that's a good one. Ori and the Will of the
Okay, I
Wisps.
just want to make sure I have good
Yep,
taste in art.
such a
I
good
guys
one.
say I love the art of some
That's
games.
oh, I'm glad you reminded me because that one, when I played it on the Switch, that one's art is just perfectly. That's what we call painterly. like a
Okay.
painterly style, because it looks like a painting, and obviously, the in game there's a lot of bloom lighting where like the glows and things like that. So you
Mhm.
see all the layers that goes in the background, the foreground where it blurs out. Perfect looking game art, moving, and it just looks smooth. So that's a perfect one right there. Mhm.
Okay. And then, have you heard Sable? We Joe
Sable.
mentioned Sable in there.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that one up. Sable, no, but
Yeah, I've seen that one. And then what about some of the new so one of my num so two of my game actually yeah, two of the games I'm putting in my top 5 most looking forward to games of 2025. One is a game called Mio.
oh, that one sounds familiar.
Memories in
Yeah,
Orbit. It's like a Metroidvania kind of looking one.
that one sounds
Um,
familiar.
and then the other one is South of Midnight
Oh,
from
another one.
Xbox. It's like very interesting style. So it seems like what you go for is those timeless looks, the ones where it's potentially you couldn't age it because it's not trying to be realistic. It's not trying to keep up with the current art of that
Right.
technology.
Or even just in, I mean, even though I do like, for example, the super realistic ones, like for example, Black Myth Wukong looks freaking amazing, and is using realistic textures, right? Like everything, the rocks are trying to be, rocks, the floor, the sky, all that, but it's also still in a fantastical world, but it's still using realistic materials, so that's a realistic looking stylized game, for example.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you like Black obviously
Yeah.
the Black
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, that's a good looking, next gen game that has realistic looking things, but it's still, in a fantasy world. But that's another one you consider photorealistic in areas, and things.
oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool to hear you talk about it. Super cool. And then Joe just said Sable is a lithographic Mobius
Mobius
inspired
inspired.
style.
Dude, I'm gonna have to look that up because that sounds cool. I'm gonna have to look it up and I'm like, oh, I know that style. I'll know whatever they're looking for. That's cool.
Oh
I'll
my
have to look
goodness. Well, Lenz, I know we're running we went long. I know you're
that
probably tired on that side. But I just want to say thanks for, hopping on, doing this, doing some art, talking to us about stuff, talking to us about your gaming journey. Again, congratulations. Hitting 1,000.
Oh yeah.
Super cool on you. But floor is yours. Anything you want to share with the crowd that we haven't touched on or just anything.
Let me see. Well, no, well, I mean, thank you for helping me reach the 1,000. Thank you
No.
guys you have a cool community. Thank you for even inviting me. Like I remember when you said it, I'm like, oh, I'm so down. And before I forget, I do want to mention Arrow is the reason that I know you is
Yeah,
because
Arrow. We're trying to get Arrow here. He's always busy, so we want Arrow.
yeah, so it was because of Arrow that I know you because I know he was doing a live stream one time and he's like, hey, I'm following Purple. And then I saw
Yeah,
you showing a Zelda thing. I was like, oh, she likes Zelda. Cool. And I started following you since then. And then Ronan mentioned you.
yeah.
So yeah,
Ronan's good, dude. We want to bring
but
Ronan on too.
all right. But I guess no, just the only thing is, yeah, if you guys are interested in just video gaming when it comes to, the 90s, Nintendo related stuff and art at the same time, which I'm doing a lot more of on my channel, where, I take sometimes a character, a boss, and I explain it more. I do an edited version of it, things like that. That's what you'll find there. So that's why I started the channel. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, or else I'm gonna regret not even attempting to do a YouTube channel where it's like both at the same time, and I'm just having fun with it. I'm having fun.
Nah, it's super cool. I was here at 1,000, so and you'll see me over there. Like
Thank
when
you.
I can
Yeah,
catch you, I try to. I
same
definitely. I
here.
know we probably sometimes we stream around the same time, but you're usually a little before and a little after.
Yeah,
So I
sometimes it's
try to
very.
catch you, and I can. But no, thank you. And when can they catch you? Do you have any set schedule?
And the thing is, I don't have a set schedule. I just stream when I can, but the normal times that I do is either 4 p.m. PT or 5 p.m. And then I just kind of stream as sometimes it's a quick 2 hours, or sometimes I just go as long as people are just having fun, and I'll just stream for 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes. And yeah, so no real set schedule, but
No. Well, there you guys go. There's Rouster. Thanks for posting them. For anybody else who's catching this on live stream, I will have them on Discord. And thank you to your community. Obviously, they came and supported. So
yeah,
we're
that was cool.
always love linking communities and just like-minded people. I always say, you know, as long as people are gaming, you know, they're usually they're happy people, you know.
Right? Exactly.
Try to get that so going. But with that, you know, I am just gonna say what I always say, kind of on that note. And Lindsay, once we finish, if you could just stay on for a few more minutes after everything shuts down.
Oh yeah.
But with that, y'all, as you know, I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the plane. All right. Thank you all. Thank you again, Silent. Thank you again, Lenz. And thank you again, Cowboy, for just everything. And thank you again, chat, for just being amazing. All right. Later, y'all. Peace.